What's up, everybody? Welcome to Moneyline Media. Got another great show for you guys tonight. We're going to be talking to bad man Alex Bazzie, the sack master.
Yes. We're going to be getting all of his thoughts on the newest college football rankings that just came out. He was not happy last week. I have a feeling he's not going to be happy this week, too.
I got a feeling he's going to be a little upset about this one.
Yeah. So let's get him on. Great guy, CFL pro and Marshall legend, Alex Bazzie.
Can y'all hear me? Can you hear me?
We can hear you. How's it going, Alex?
It's going well. It's going well, guys. Good to see y'all. Good to hear from y'all.
No, it's so exciting to
You
hear
see
from
me?
you. Now,
There we go.
There we go.
There we go. Okay.
Happy to have you back on.
Okay. I'm here.
Alex, we're glad that we have you on today because we actually want to talk to you about the college football rankings because we know you were not happy last week with them. I have a feeling you're not happy this week with them as well.
I am not.
Get a feeling.
I am
So
not.
we want to go through the rankings with you and want you to tell us if they are right, like the right rating, if they're getting overrated or if they're getting underrated in these rankings.
I think at this point, they're getting a little overrated. Simply due to the fact, yes, I do feel that way. Simply due to the fact that you have some teams that haven't even played the same amount of games as other teams.
Yeah.
And it's like you're saying this team is better.
Gotcha.
But where it lost me most at, well, I say where it all started at, was watching teams like my university, Marshall. We are. And
Yes.
watching us, dominate, I want to say the first 3 to 4 weeks. And the Big Ten hadn't even started play yet.
Right.
Yeah. One game yet.
Same with the Pac-12.
Oh my God, let's speak on these, big Power 5 schools, and that rightfully so have earned their respect as far as, talent goes. But when you're talking just, hard work that these kids are putting in, week out, and acknowledging it, I feel that the college football playoff world, sometimes forget that these kids are working hard. So you have schools like Coastal Carolina and Marshall and Cincinnati. I mean, Cincinnati's getting a little more respect, but it's like you watching these other schools such as the Marshall and Coastal Carolinas putting in 4 weeks of work early just for a Penn State and a Minnesota that hadn't even touched the field yet, get a higher ranking than them, just to watch them start their season and be the complete opposite of what was told that they were going to be. I mean, if that doesn't get any more frustrating than that, I don't know what does.
Right.
It's hard to see Ohio State at 4-0 sitting at that number 4 spot right now. It really is.
It's very tough, man.
By the way, Big Ten has not impressed me. The only division that I can say is far and out better than many of the others is the SEC. That's the only one that has really shown me that they are above. I don't think the ACC is that strong. I don't understand how Iowa State with 2 losses is in the top 10.
Yeah.
Like, they're number 9 right now. So we're going to kind of go through the list with you. I want you to tell us if you think they're at the right place, and if you think, because you're the, you are the professional here. You played in big games. You kind of played with probably guys from all of these different universities. So you can tell us. Yeah, exactly. So you can tell us. So we'll start with number 1, Alabama. Do you think that they should be number 1?
Yes.
Yeah. I think that's across the board that we all agree. Should Notre Dame be number 2?
Rightfully so. To believe it or not, I don't think they are as dominant as people think they really are, but they continuously, continue to win and prove the doubters wrong in games that, people have them losing. So I have to respect that.
And you have to, when you are playing a number 1 team and you beat them, I think they kind of earn your spot, even though Clemson was without Trevor Lawrence. James, you agree with us? You
yes,
think that?
I do. Yes, I do. Absolutely.
Alabama and Notre Dame. All right. Speaking of that one loss, Clemson's number 3. Now, does that bother you to have a team with a loss in this top 4 when there are teams that are undefeated?
No, I said I tell a lot of people, I said that the college football playoff world, the committee there, they the top 3 is pretty like it's legit based off of the actions. So yes, Clemson lost to Notre Dame. So respectfully, so you want to congratulate Notre Dame for knocking off, the number 1 team. Although it was the backup quarterback and it was double overtime, so it's like, well, Clemson might really be good because what if the backup wasn't a backup and he had been maybe in for 4 weeks before facing Notre Dame?
He's a freshman too, right? That their backup quarterback.
True freshman.
True freshman. Yeah.
And he came from what, New Jersey or California? Don Bosco.
Don Bosco is New Jersey. Sorry.
Yeah. So I believe it's 2 of them, but yeah, man. So he's going to be great in the future. I mean, I can't wait to see what.
And it's great to get that big game experience.
Oh yes.
Now.
Oh yes, I mean, and he went crazy that game, didn't he?
He had a good game against a very good defense. Against a very good defense.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Ohio State, we just talked about it. Should they be number 4?
They should be number 4, and when you're going off of the amount of points that they're putting up on opponents, just how easily they're competing out there. I rightfully say that they should be number 4, also due to the fact that, I mean, this is a team that didn't have many losses last year. So year in, year out, they're very consistent, no matter the coach, no matter the players. It seems like every year we hear about a new first rounder that comes out of Ohio State. And it's
That's true.
He's a junior? He's a what? Like, where's this kid at 3 years ago? And the nation always seems to be surprised. And I always compare Alabama and Ohio State as far as magical players just popping up, and you're like, where are these guys coming from? There's a factory in those places. I mean, Clemson as well. So you kind of have to respect it. I had a debate with my friend talking about the Ohio State game with Justin Fields against Indiana. A lot of people would say that, although he put up 300 yards, he didn't look like himself. He was, throwing interceptions. I think he had like 3 turnovers that game, and he just wasn't doing his normal Justin Fields thing. So when you kind of look at that, and it's like, okay, he played a bad game, but he still put up 300 yards.
yeah.
And that's a bad game. So it's like, that's a legit team. That's a legit team from that perspective.
But the Big Ten is not as strong as they've been. No. I don't think I think if you look at some divisions, and I'm a big American Conference person, like I'll watch those games as opposed to even like the SEC or the ACC. I just like that.
See, I'm actually a Big Ten guy. Like, I love watching Big Ten play. So I would agree with you. It's not it this year, James.
It's not like they're just not. They're not the teams that we thought they were going to be. All right, number 5 is Texas A&M. Their only loss coming to Alabama. Is that loss more impressive than Clemson's loss to Notre Dame? Because Alabama's by far and out the best. Like, it's kind of weird for me to see this when you see Notre Dame. I understand Clemson was their backup quarterback, and I get it. But Texas A&M's 1 loss is to Alabama, who's their number 1 team. How could you put them behind a team like Clemson?
And that could very much so be argued. I mean, especially when you had Ohio State, kind of coming to a close one with Indiana, even though they pulled it off, and then Indiana goes and play Maryland the next week, and they struggled against a Maryland team that's trying to find their identity. And you're like, hold on now, should Ohio State really be number 4 with a Texas A&M only losing to a dominant Alabama team that the whole world is just in denial at this point with Alabama? So should Texas A&M be up there? And that's the debate. I'm going to say let's keep them at 5, simply because Ohio State has consistently shown us that, week in, week out, regardless if it's college, or regardless if it's the college football playoffs, or regardless if it's the Big Ten championship, they're going to come to play.
That's true.
Can we say that about a Texas A&M program, other than the fact that they can guarantee you a 9-win season?
Mm-hmm.
Defense is looking really strong with Texas A&M, though. Their
It is.
defense is looking really strong.
And if the committee want to spice things up, I think they should kind of hear us out on this one and throw A&M in the mix next week and put them at 4 and kind of let's really look at this matchup. Should they have a rematch against Alabama come playoff and see if Alabama can pull it off twice?
And they will not be playing them in the SEC championship game, as they are both SEC West teams.
Right.
So something also to think about, they probably won't get their second loss. They will not get their second loss against Alabama because if it is the playoffs. So that's something to think about too. Yeah. Next up, we have Florida, whose one loss comes to Texas A&M.
This is why the SEC is crazy, isn't it?
It is. It's so true.
Oh, man, I mean, Florida is a great team. I honestly did not see this. I was hearing about all the noise last year. They kept saying, well, Florida State, look out for Florida next year. Look out for Florida next year. And I kept saying, wow, Florida. But in actuality, I mean, the guy Kyle, the quarterback Kyle, and then you got the tight end Pitts. They just seem to have the most unstoppable combination of two players right now in all of football. I'm talking NFL as well. They can give Russell and DK Metcalf a run for their money.
Oh man, he looked good last night. James is not a Kyle. My partner over here is not a Kyle Trask fan. I actually really like him.
I was like you
demolish your squad, James. He must have demolished your team.
I'm being sold week by week. Every time I say he's going to have a bad game, he just goes out and throws another 8,000 yards on me.
Yeah, 8 touchdowns. And now that Pitts is back, ooh.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, man. Imagine if college football had fantasy. Oh, man.
Oh, I know. I just grabbed those two. Maybe Mac Jones in there.
Yes.
Oh, by the way, your Marshall team scoring a lot. Scoring a lot. Good defense, but scoring a lot.
Yes, they are, and I'm very impressed. So I've seen something where they kind of asked, if you had, I think it was BYU and Cincinnati and Marshall and Coastal Carolina, the 4 undefeated teams, who would you go with? And of course, I'm going to choose Marshall. Mm-hmm. But being very realistic, man, I think Cincinnati. I mean, Coastal Carolina, they're lighting it up. Yeah. BYU, I love what Zach is doing over there, but I think
incredible.
The difference is very incredible and just like it's undeniable. Like what he's doing, you just cannot even hate on it. But you just look at Marshall overall all around play. I mean, from special teams, like a lot of people don't even speak on it, but if you look at Marshall's special teams, I mean, they're killing. A lot of teams are not returning the ball. They're not getting a lot of great field positions. The defense is doing what they need to do. I mean, these guys are flying all across the board, and I think that is the difference maker. When you're talking football, you're talking field position. So when you have a team that's dedicated to special teams, I mean,
those teams win. Those teams win 9 out of 10 times.
Yes. So I've seen games where Marshall kind of took a little while to get going, but guess what? Guess what got them going? Special teams.
Very Patriot-esque.
Yes.
Dude, that's how the Patriots were so good, was because of their special teams. And we see with the Buccaneers, their special teams isn't as good, and Brady's struggling. So that's something. But you bring up the undefeated teams. We got Cincinnati. I want to talk to you. We'll go back into the order in a little bit. But do you think Marshall could beat Coastal Carolina or a team like Cincinnati or a team like BYU? I know you're going to say yes.
I'm simply going to say yes because scoring is not an issue with Marshall. I mean, a 24-point game will probably be low scoring for Marshall.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Right. So now you have to focus on defense. I mean, Coastal Carolina, they're blowing people out the waters. I mean, don't get me wrong, but I don't think defensively they'll be able to hold off a Marshall team, whereas a Marshall defense could hold off a Coastal Carolina just enough. Right. So when you look at that aspect, it's like, hey, can you keep up, Coastal? If our defense get 3 stops in a row and our offense score all 3 times,
Yeah.
and you're playing from behind, I mean, you're going to get out of a little rhythm.
You're right. And they played a good offense in Appalachian State to start the season. Marshall did, a team that was ranked before Marshall got there. Coastal Carolina played that same team. They only scored 34 points, which is pretty low. Pretty low for Coastal Carolina, but they gave up 23. Well, Marshall only scored 17, but they only gave up 7. I think that's a game to look at. I think that we might be seeing them in a bowl, and that would be incredible.
Oh, man, I believe at this point the Marshall fans are begging for that matchup.
Right.
They're begging for it.
By the way, would you want Marshall to switch into that Sun Belt division?
No.
Because that division, no, you wouldn't. You like Conference USA.
I actually want them to gravitate towards the American Conference.
That'd be great.
And
that would
start
be
there. I mean, I honestly don't see them yet, participating like an ACC or anything like that, or Big 12. West Virginia is right up the road, and they're Big 12. But I honestly see like great competitive action in the American Conference. I mean, we talk about the matchups with before Louisville went ACC and all these American teams were Big East. I mean, that's what you was looking for, going to go face the SMUs of the world, and the Cincinnatis and South Florida. Even when they played South Florida a couple years ago in the bowl game, they struggled a little bit, but they kept the fight, and that what made me kind of open my eyes and said the American Conference might be for Marshall. And especially, once you kind of navigate towards the new conference, you're going to get better and bigger recruits. So I really want to see how that plays off.
By the way, every American team, any of them could beat the other one on any given day.
Any day.
It is an exciting league to watch, and I think Marshall would fit in very well there. I think.
Especially with a lot of their recruits coming from Florida. I mean, you got UCF that was kind of at a time and point you could say it was running a conference, 2 years in a row, I want to say. So, you will get a lot of recruits that instead of going to UCF that might come to Marshall and rather go and play against UCF or, one of these fast. I mean, SMU got some kids that are electrically fast. I mean, I don't know where these kids are running track or are they going this way? They're just electric. I forgot what the guy name is from SMU. So when you just watching all this great talent out there in the American Conference, you have to admire. I mean, look at Cincinnati's quarterback. He is a beast.
Mm-hmm. He is a beast. And their defense has been playing well too. It really is an exciting division. But I know you said you don't think they're ready for a Big 12. I think they are. If Kansas is ready for the Big 12, and I think the only thing that might hurt Marshall is their basketball, because I'm not sure if they're
right.
But that's why Kansas is in there. But I think they cream Kansas, and I think that they would play West Virginia and all those other teams close. I do not think the Big 12 is. I know it's a Power 5, but I don't think it's much better than the American, and I definitely don't think the Pac-12 is much better than the American.
I think you're actually right on that, and it's more so. I think offensively they will fit perfect in the Big 12. I mean, it would just be so fun. But I think being in the Big 12 and knowing that it's such an offensive conference that it will kind of take away from the pride and hard work that we love to put in on the defense over there. And that's what I'm a little afraid of. Like, once we become a Big 12 team, do we lose our defense all of a sudden? Is it just a shootout offense, and nobody can't tackle? So that's what kind of makes me nervous. But you're absolutely right. I mean, the game is all about scoring. So if you could match up an electrifying offense with another electrifying offense, I mean, hey, defense, you just got to get your water ready.
Yeah, exactly. So is there a team, I don't know if you've seen the new rankings, is there a team that you think is completely overrated, like should not be? Like I know that you were very vocal about Northwestern and Miami last week. Northwestern went down to 14.
And then they went down right away.
But yeah, you put the curse, you gave them the kiss of death.
Yeah, I was not big on Northwestern. I just felt that, I mean, they had a very impressive win against Wisconsin. And how I explain it to a buddy of mine, I said Wisconsin and Northwestern are powered teams. They're slow the game down, power teams. So sometimes a matchup made it look like a good game, but they just so happened to fit perfect. I mean, that Northwestern could have been 0-5 and would have probably still played Northwestern that good, just
Right.
because it just the game fit one another. I mean, they held Wisconsin to 7, but they're a very sound team. They're not line up on the ball, hurry up. I mean, we all
Right.
seen what Kyler Murray was doing at Oklahoma. We've seen that style of play where you're spreading it out. You're running almost 80, 90 plays a game. Now going the Northwestern, the Wisconsin, I said, okay, that was a little slow game, so that matchup seems to look good. You take away Wisconsin, I mean, they beat what? They beat Maryland. That was, like I said, was finding their identity.
Right.
I forgot who was the other team, but I just
They think they beat like Purdue. It was like a
they beat
Purdue or an
Purdue.
Iowa, something like that.
And it's like, okay, these are Big Ten teams. They're very prestigious. They have great names. But if you're just looking at the style of play, let's put Marshall, who averaging 30 something a game at minimum. Let's put them against a Northwestern team. And now Northwestern defense has to keep up and run around and move around fast. They're going to be a little tired than what they're usually used to. Now you put that Northwestern offense against Marshall's defense. And as slow as they develop their plays and move the ball and, just get everything going, that Marshall defense could diagnose it and play with them. And I strongly believe that. I mean, the most points given up was, I believe, 14 points this season that Marshall has allowed. So I like that matchup. I really do. And with Miami, my argument with Miami is they have an electrifying offense. Deidre King is a beast. I love him.
Right. But they're not getting the best out of him.
They're not getting the best out of him. I strongly believe that. He's not. I mean, the type of runs we were seeing at Houston and numbers.
He was putting up like 300 yards a game easily. On this team that's so much worse than Miami, when it's like Miami has all this. They're able to get the top offensive tackles. They're right in their backyard. Right. They're able to get these good wide receivers, again, in their backyard. And to see, and by the way, have not like electrified at all. You're right. Every game that they've been in has been extremely close, and it could have gone either way.
Yep, it could have.
I agree with you on Miami.
So and then you look at their defense and you say, well, that defense, you don't know what defense you're going to get this week.
Right.
So when you kind of look at that, I like us over Miami simply because we're going to be able to score. If you could score, we could trade scores, but now it's whose defense going to stop who?
Now, Iowa State's another one who made the top 10 this week. I believe they were 13 last week. They're 7-2. Their 2 losses come to Oklahoma State and Louisiana Lafayette, who is now ranked number 25. Good team. Another exciting team to watch from that Sun Belt division. Marshall could be playing them. Would you want Marshall to play Iowa State?
I would love it. I would love it. I mean, Iowa State, they have some phenomenal athletes over there. Don't get me wrong.
They do.
Like you said, once you lose 2 games, I don't care if it's to 2 ranked opponents or not. Mm-hmm. Once you lose 2 games and you have some undefeated teams out there, you have to kind of start saying, well, they lost. It's all about wins and losses. I mean, you can't win the MVP. You can't win the Heisman with multiple losses. So we have to carry that over to teams like Iowa State, who's top 10. Is like, how you're top 10 with 2 losses, and you have some teams out here that's putting up double-digit wins and surviving with ease every week.
Right, and they say strength of schedule, but one of Iowa State's losses is to a Sun Belt team.
Right.
Who is so? If you're going to say it's strength of schedule, and then their 1 loss is to at one point do you elevate these other divisions? Marshall played a Sun Belt team, one of the better Sun Belt teams, beating Appalachian State. So, like, at what point do you elevate? But I agree with you. I mean, I think Marshall's low on this list.
I do. And then Washington just got in there, didn't they?
They're number 22.
And they're 3-0.
Yeah,
3-0. So it's like
barely beating Utah. Beating Utah.
So I feel like certain teams, it's like, let's wait a little bit, but they're too fast to kind of stir up controversy, as I like to call it.
Yeah, it's weird. So UNC lost and they moved up 3 spots.
Like how, right?
Yeah,
Just because they played a number 2 team good, like I want to know. They didn't
but they
finish the
didn't
second
even
half
play that
strong.
good.
They
Yeah.
started off hot and then went cold. Anybody can
Yeah.
start off hot.
And
No,
they're
you're 100% right.
That's a 3-loss team.
That
That's a
is.
3-loss team, right,
That's a
James?
3-loss. You're right,
We
James.
didn't even get to that point yet. Like
That's a 3-loss team. That's ahead of
that's a
Coastal
3-loss
Carolina,
team.
Marshall, and Louisiana, who beat your number 9 team. And UNC has not beat anyone in the top 10.
No.
Well, like, these rankings are ridiculous. At one
Uh,
point,
They have cool jerseys.
yeah,
yes,
exactly.
I mean, yeah, and Jordan sponsors, so it's,
Yeah,
I mean, you can't lose with Jordan, right?
yeah, I guess so. I guess so. Oklahoma is another team, 11. They have 2 losses, right? Or do they just have one to Iowa State?
With the Soners,
Yeah, who they lost to Iowa
I believe.
State, who lost to Louisiana, who's number 25.
So with Oklahoma, I mean, they're finding ways to win. Don't get me wrong. Spencer Rattler, I think is his name. He's
Yeah,
finally. It looks like he's getting in his groove. He was kind of struggling a little bit, just finding that rhythm and just continuing off the pace that Kyler and the rest of those
right.
guys left it at. But
It takes
man,
you've, adjusted to the, professional level and college level. It does take a while, I assume, to get used to the speed. Like, you're
yes,
used to being that big fish in the small pond, and here you are. So I actually like him a lot.
you do.
I do. I like him. I think that got I think he's got this swagger, and I think that he'll be better. There's a couple of the quarterbacks that I like.
He has
He's
cost me
grown.
too much
He
money.
got to grow on me. What'd you say, James?
He's cost me too much money for me to like.
Oh my God! I mean, I think he still have to. He got some growing to do.
Right.
I just don't see that, that amazing. I mean, maybe Kyler, he spoiled it. Maybe Baker spoiled it for us. We seen some
Yeah.
performances out of them that you just don't typically get. But Spencer is a good player. He is, and you could tell that the team is finally, getting their groove going. And I know they would have loved to be undefeated by now, but maybe they had to go through those little ups and downs and bumps and bruises to kind of figure out who they are. But as of right now, I'm not big on Oklahoma. I'm not gonna lie. I'm actually surprised at Oklahoma State. I
Number
think
11.
Chuba,
Yep.
yeah. So I think Chuba has been kind of dealing with. Chuba is his name, the running back that they have. I've been
No,
really
that's
excited
oh,
about him.
sorry. OK State's 15. Oklahoma is 11. OK,
Oklahoma's 11,
yeah. OK State's 15.
15,
Yeah.
and I mean, I feel like I don't. It's kind of, it's like their record isn't bad, but it's like this was a team that was so highly talked about in the offseason. Chuba was
Yes.
so, he had a lot of spotlight on him, and I feel bad for the kid because now he's dealing with a couple of injuries and bumps and bruises. I don't even think he played, this past weekend. But I don't think Oklahoma State are as good as a lot of people think that they are.
Right.
And I know I'm saying it now, it may not make sense, and it's very hard to explain why that I have this feeling of both teams, but I'm really not a big fan of Big 12. And it's just simply
I
because I
agree.
don't think that defensively that it's just too spread out. And defensively, I don't think that they are given the chance to really play good ball. It's more so, hey, you got to be able to cover sideline to sideline. I mean, that's part of football, yes, but sometimes we would like to see the traditional I formations, the traditional run downhill, man
Right.
on man, big on big competitiveness, not spread it out, find the
Which is,
open.
I'm assuming, why you love the Big Ten.
I love the Big Ten. I love watching the SEC play because it's like you're going to get every bit of, if you want to vision athletes and how they would do in the NFL, I say watch Big Ten. I say watch SEC, and outside of that, now you have to just start, I guess, fantasizing and say, whoa, with this kid's speed, or hey, with this kid ability, I wonder what he would be like, replacing Carson Wentz. I wonder what he would be like in a struggling, Detroit team. Like, now you start wondering. But when you watching Big Ten, SEC, you're like, this kid won't be able to do it because
Yeah.
you're watching them pretty much do the exact same type of concepts, type of plays, and I mean the meal plans in those schools are ridiculous. They're
Yeah.
eating good. They're getting top notch of everything. So you know that, okay, well, this was the move on. They'll be all right. A player that I was mostly, I say, impressed with. What's the running back that came out of LSU that's with the Chiefs now?
Oh,
Yeah.
Edward
Edwards.
Solaire.
So I was not big on him. I kept saying, they have an explosive offense. I mean, of course he's going to be a good running back. The offense is just so wide and spread out. They go 5 wide every time. Of course he's going to get some good numbers. And my boy kept telling me, he said, man, this kid's going to be a beast in the NFL. I said, you sure? I mean, maybe after 2 years, I always tell him that. I always say, you got to give a kid about 3 years. It takes some time. The NFL is no joke, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I wasn't high on Derrick Henry at first. Now he's the best thing out. I honestly didn't. I honestly didn't think Derrick Henry, was built for the NFL as far as running every game and physically getting the job done. Without getting hurt. I thought that he was too stiff, and if he, if he keeps getting chopped on the legs, he was going to pretty much get tired of it. But he has proven me wrong,
That's
and
awesome.
that goes back to SEC play. I mean, he's been in those physical battles. So once he kind of found himself, now he's been carrying the team on his back for 2 seasons. You're talking MVP candidate.
You're right, Alex. Before we let you go, we got to give you one more question.
I'm ready to hear it.
Yeah. Your dream bowl game for Marshall, who do you want them to play?
This year?
Yep.
As much as I want to say Coastal, to be honest, I hope they could find a way to match them up with Cincinnati.
Ooh, that's good. That's a good
nice.
game.
That would be a great game.
Take the over in that game.
Yeah.
I'm taking the over too, man. That's for sure. Unless they set it at like 200, I'm taking that over. But you just know it's going to be a fun competitive because both teams have, well-playing quarterbacks right now, a lot of speed on the outside at receivers, and then both teams actually have good defenses. So
they do.
And then not only that, I want to focus on the Coastal Carolinas, the Lafayette's, and
right.
so I want to focus on those teams. Let's find a way to put them in the spotlight so everyone can really see how competitive they've been competing all year.
I agree with you.
It will only make sense to match it up in a way where you can say, all right, well, let's see who's the best of the best. Who's the best of the non-Power 5? Like, let's get it. Let's get after it.
I like it.
And
Alex,
that'll be great.
Thank you so much for coming on.
I appreciate you guys.
Sorry.
Alex, I got one thing
James.
for you.
Oh, yes. Come on, bring it on, bro. I'm not ready to go. She's ready to cut us off so soon.
Sorry,
bring it on.
We don't have the Zoom Pro, so it cuts our meeting off.
Okay.
We're poor.
Okay.
No sponsors.
We're all coming up together. We're coming up together.
Exactly.
So speaking of
James,
I was going to ask you this because I went back and I watched the first interview we did, and I remember you saying that at 8 years old you started playing football.
Yes, sir.
And you played for the Wydell Warriors, I believe it was.
Wydell Warriors, yes, it was.
And I just voted for you for the CFL All-Decade team.
Yes, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
How does an 8-year-old kid playing for the Warriors go to CFL All-Decade?
Man, I was shocked. I try to answer that myself, man, every day. Like, wow, I mean, in a short span, I haven't been in the league for 10 years. I mean, I'm going on my 7th year. We would have played this, but it was just so amazing. But I do realize that hard work gets you there. Hard work gets you there. Strongly believe and get you there. And it's kind of funny because a friend of mine, he made a quote today on Twitter, I want to say, I forgot what exactly it was. It was something along the lines of the money brings you your dreams or something like that. And then Darryl Roberts, he cornerback in the NFL, he reached out and he said, nobody, your dreams make you money. Money don't make your dreams.
Absolutely.
You had to dream something in order for the money to come behind it. So all my life, man, from the time I took that first snap at 8 years old, and it was like, whoa, I took my first contact and I'm like, whoa, like this is a man's game. Every day you got to come ready to hit someone or get hit. I realized the competition behind that was something I wanted to be able to do each and every day. It was going to be exciting. It was going to be something new. You know, soccer was my first sport, and I got tired of that very quickly. You know, it just seemed like I was bigger, faster than everyone out there on the field. There was no contact, no physical, no one to challenge me physically. So after that, after soccer, I mean, it was just a dream come true to see, okay, I could physically play ball. I could physically hit somebody, not get in trouble. I was a rough kid. And I lived with that, man. It really pretty much helped me stay out of trouble. It helped me stay focused. I mean, it's a demanding game. It asks a lot out of you, your time, your body, everything. So I mean, just staying true to it and keeping that dream alive, it allowed me to be where I'm at today. So having that love and passion.
Awesome. Well, nothing but the best. We hope you get in. We're going to
I
continue to
appreciate you
vote for you.
guys.
Yes, we will. And we are
Yes.
having you back on to talk about the CFL next. We promise you.
Oh, come on, bring it on.
Yes,
I'm waiting for
soon.
their final verdict and see what's going to happen with the season. But
Well,
it seems
we
like they're
can't
getting
wait.
some things together.
We
can't
spoke to
wait.
you last time, and it was at the beginning of the coronavirus, and we're still in this. So we hope that you're staying safe, your family's safe.
Yes.
Hope you got your 2-year-old running you around still.
Yeah, he's somewhere in the room trying to get out here. He's too young for the He's too young for the podcast right now.
Right. Soon, when he's gonna make the NFL All-Decade team, when he's a little guy, yeah.
Oh yes, you guys gonna be the first to report it too.
Of course.
All right, well, I appreciate you guys having
Alex,
me on the
thank you
show.
so
Best
much.
of luck.
You too, man.
All right, love y'all. Take care.
Love you, man.
Bye.
All right, guys. Alex Bazzie, Marshall Legend,
The best. He's
CFL,
amazing.
possible all-decade team. Make sure
Keep
you guys
voting.
vote.
We're gonna put him on. We gotta put the link in our bio here on our Instagram. I always have to be the bad guy with you. I'm always the one that has to end it, and then you're like, no. And I'm like, dude, we don't have pro. If we had pro, it could go on forever.
That's what we're gonna have to do. That's it. We have to make a GoFundMe.
To get Zoom Pro.
You get Zoom Pro.
Sponsor us. Someone sponsor us.
Absolutely.
We need it. All right. We'll be back in on the flip. Alex Bazzie, always great. Can't wait to have him back on.
Absolutely. It's going to be fun. We got a whole rest of a college football season to go.
He's going to be angry a lot, I have a feeling.
Yeah.
He's not going to be happy.
I know.
Angry is the wrong word. He is not going to be. And nor should he.
It's true.
All right.
Stay safe. Stay well. Stay hydrated.